As for the rest of us free people that are still on the outside, summer is here. America's 250th birthday is at hand, and now that the school year is over and the kiddos' report cards are out, we all receive the nation's report card, otherwise known as the National Assessment of Educational Progress. And to sum up, there has been none. According to that report, fewer than 1 in 3 American students can read at their grade level. Fewer than 1 in 3 eighth graders are proficient in science. And only 22% of high school seniors are proficient in math. Yet public school spending is approaching $1 trillion a year, which is almost 60% more than we were spending in 2013, when student results were significantly stronger. New York City is a perfect illustration of spending more to get less and being okay with effectively throwing money at a problem that money doesn't fix while failing their kids for the rest of their lives. In fact, New York City spends roughly $44,000 per student every year, which is around 30% more than other large school districts spend. And yet, for all of that extra money, forcibly extorted from their taxpayers, they are not producing any better outcomes. The disconnect between education spending, of which the United States is #1 in the world, and the results, in which we are falling off the charts behind much poorer nations, has become so glaringly absurd that even Jeff Bezos recently weighed in on the disaster that we are needlessly inflicting on the next generation, 2/3 of which cannot read or grasp science, and 4/5 of them can't do math. As Bezos put it, if Amazon operated the same way as our school system does, quote, packages would take 6 weeks to arrive. We would charge you a $100 delivery fee, and when the package did finally arrive, it would have the wrong item. On this podcast, we recently covered California's skyrocketing spending on this front, more than anyone else spends, only to end up with results where a black child in Mississippi is more likely to be able to read than a black child in California is, by several orders of magnitude. Why? Because California is neglecting reading, writing, and arithmetic in the classrooms in favor of quack versions of therapy, religious indoctrination, and training kids to be political activists instead of contributing, functioning members of society. California schools are in fact far closer to Hitler's youth than they are to Aristotle's mind-expanding tutoring. Parents and taxpayers have every right to demand receipts on where all of their money is going. But they are not going to like the answers. If you follow the dollars, they lead straight to Randy Weingarten and the ATF, the American Federation of Teachers. Parents have and continue to be told that this teachers' union exists to improve schools and the quality of education by supporting quality teachers, something we can all support. But one look at how that union actually spends its money and where it throws around its influence, and the hard facts prove to be a very different story than the insistent narrative we are told. According to federal filings that were analyzed by the Illinois Policy Institute, in 2024, the AFT spent more than $277 million. Only 100.7 million of that, which is barely 36 cents on the dollar, went towards representing teachers, which is supposed to be that union's core reason for even existing in the first place. So, if they spent $277 million and only $100 million went to teacher-related spending, what did they spend the other $177 million on? That money, nearly 2/3 of the whole shebang, went into politics, into administrative bureaucracy, and into the various personal priorities of union leadership, including Randy Weingarten. That also includes $38 million in funds for education that was instead spent on political activities and lobbying. The guidelines from the Better Business Bureau recommend that a true nonprofit should devote at least 65% of their resources to their core mission. By that standard, the AFT falls dramatically short of being even a corrupt nonprofit. By that standard, their core mission is politics, not education, if you go based off of their spending. Meanwhile, Weingarten herself collected more than $500,000 in her yearly salary and reported compensations during that same year, 2024, while the average teacher earned around $72,000 for the entire year, because no one is advocating for them, not even the union that they are forced to pay dues to. When that same union's overwhelmingly one-sided political spending is viewed next to these other factors, the picture becomes even more troubling. During the 2024 election, 99.89% of the contributions from the AFT's Political Action Committee went to Democrats and to their allied causes. In fact, that union's PAC spent $15.6 million supporting Kamala Harris and other Democrat congressional candidates, while their teachers get paid next to nothing to teach illiterate students and rob them of the education that they are entitled to, which will offer them a good life. The receipts prove beyond all doubt that alleged teachers' unions are, in fact, absolutely not primarily focused on improving schools and supporting education like the narrative that they peddle claims. Their wallet says that priority number one is politics, because that is where their big spending goes on, their number one spending. And they are hijacking your tax dollars to do all of it. This is not news to anyone who has paid attention to Weingarten or to the issues that she has used her platform for, very few of which can be called educational by any stretch of the imagination. Weingarten called Florida's Parental Rights in Education Act a gross political attack, all because it gave parents access to a clear view of what their very young children were being taught about gender and sex in the classrooms that were supposed to be teaching them to read and to add. Accountability and transparency are a gross attack to this communist anyway. And I say communist because this is exactly how communists treat education, as a secretive indoctrination to create wedges in families. It's textbook. Weingarten also fully welcomed the Biden administration's attempt to rewrite Title IX in a way that entirely nullified its protection of girls, so that biological males could compete in girls' sports, take their scholarships, and have access to private female spaces where underage girls were exposed naked in front of any horny boy who claimed that he identified as a girl in order to get access to a free peep show at school. At the 2024 AFT convention, Weingarten invoked fascism to warn her union members about the consequences of the wrong election outcome. Meanwhile, not one of her students can define fascism. And for the record, its definition is socialist nationalism. You've heard of Christian nationalism, right? Replace Christian with socialist and leave in the nationalism. Ta-da! You have fascism. That is why the Nazis were the National Socialist Party. The term fascist was started under Mussolini. It means bundle in Italian. Both fascist and communist believe in the collective, not the individual. Both of them believe in an authoritarian government that has control of practically everything. It was no accident that the communist Stalin was originally the fascist Hitler's ally, and only abandoned that alliance after Hitler attacked him, based on the one main difference between communists and fascists. Fascists and communists see pretty much everything the same way, with basically one glaring exception. Fascists are nationalists, and communists are globalists. Stalin wanted a one-world order in which the entire globe would be communist, which explains why the communist flag is a globe with a sickle. Hitler shared all of the Marxist socialist ideas that Stalin believed in, except he wanted a German empire that sat atop the world order, which is why he attacked his own communist ally. He didn't want an ally, he wanted domination. So once again, a fascist is definitionally a socialist who believes in nationalism. A communist is a socialist who believes in globalism. And those few seconds are more education than you will ever receive in 13 years of school under Ms. Weingarten. As the American Enterprise Institute's scholar, Robert Pondicio, put it, Weingarten's social media accounts are a litany of hot takes on politics and current events. Effective teaching? Barely a whisper. As far as her more recent activity, an investigation by Defending Education uncovered connections to anti-ICE operations. Separate research found that DEI provisions were deeply embedded in the nationwide contracts connected to the AFT, including race-conscious programming and ideological training that had nothing at all to do with teachers' pay, benefits, or classroom conditions. Meanwhile, parents keep being told to stay in their lane, as though their kids' education is not inherently their lane. Parents have been accused of book banning if they so much as question a curriculum that included cartoon depictions of anal sex and a dictionary of every known sex toy and kink being pushed in elementary schools. Parents have been told that them expecting to have any say in their own children's education is extremism, that the union knows best, and teachers should be allowed to push kids towards a mentally ill mindset that has a very high suicide rate to it, and keep all of that a secret from the person who actually gave birth to that child and who is the one actually getting up with them in the middle of the night and raising them. On top of that, parents are told to abandon their kids to a shadow-filled future as academic performance continues to rapidly deteriorate across nearly every subject that we teach and across every grade level, as our kids fall behind the rest of the world and their teachers take them out of future competition. Even as one of the most powerful organizations in American education pours millions of its dollars, countless hours, and enormous political influence into elections, activism, and ideological causes that have nothing to do with helping their students learn. So I have this to say to parents. The people telling you that, flip those people the bird and take over your school boards. Run for your school boards. Take it over. Take it out of their hands. It's over. It's done. Because despite what they tell you, parents do have every right to expect and to demand better.